Alright, hi guys, this is Sniz, aka I won't bother listing all the AKAs from uh, past games, but anyway, I figured it'd be a little easier just to record some video and explain some stuff than to type it all out. Sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time editing or whatever. I've done a lot of that in the past. I'm just going to kind of go down a dirty raw video, here it is, and just kind of just try to describe some stuff. But really quick, I wanted to take a little bit to talk about the shrines and why we're trying to focus on stacking, and actually I'm starting to develop a strategy where we want to saturate and blockade waterways to landlock our shrines on our continent. Really quick, first of all, there are 8 shrines on our continent. Basically each one represents a specific power. They're not activated yet, but there'll ultimately be an end game where we can build a city. It'll automatically be castled on the side of the shrine. And when I say shrine, I'm talking about this little Stonehenge area on the map here. And basically, so when a shrine gets activated, we'll be able to stack a city on it. And then from that city, it'll automatically be castled. When a guild or alliance owns that city, they get a power basically from the shrine. Each shrine represents a different power, like attack power and whatnot. Some of this I'm still a little sketchy on. I'm still learning. But the short version is that it gives you powers, and then the first guild or player, I'm not sure on that, to capture and hold all of one type of shrine, which I'm pretty sure there will be one of each type on our continent, will be Emperor, Lord of Ultima, or whatever. And as I understand it, basically each world, once that happens, if it ever happens, will then be reset. So it's kind of like a long-term game, like an old school RTS. So anyway, most guilds, I think a lot of the guilds at our stage aren't even thinking along these lines yet. I think we're a little bit ahead of the game to be thinking along these lines. But as you'll notice on our continent, you'll see a lot of people from, well, this guy joined Sons of Bitches after he was here, but he was originally a member of Danites. Danites are focused on continent 21, and they're starting to stretch out and try to secure positions on shrines on other continents, including ours. Early stage, there's not a lot we can do. An uncastled city, they're not going to castle, they're just going to sit there uncancelled and make res cities. What we need to do is neutralize this and ultimately discourage them from thinking that continent 20 is going to be easy pickings. So the first thing is kind of a twofold strategy to what we're trying to do right now. First of all, we're trying to give them kind of a show of strength, let them know that continent 20 is not going to be pushovers, and ultimately they're not going to be able to compete with us on our own continent. So we want to show fast growing cities right on those shrines, right on top of it, surround them, and I'm hoping, at least in the short term, they will kind of get the hint and not devote as much energy here as they will on other continents. And then long term, just so everybody's kind of understanding, I've been doing a little bit of reading, not super versed on this stuff yet, but basically what you end up with is resource cities that generate your resources, from which you can supply your military cities. Your military cities, you're kind of limited by how much food you can produce and how many troops you can produce, and at that stage you're talking about how quickly you can produce troops, because a lot of times in major wars you're losing large volumes of troops, you're constantly replenishing them, and in a lot of cases it's a war of attrition. You end up whoever can pump out the most troops during a long siege or a prolonged battle. Each troop that's built in a city, that's their home city. That cannot be changed. However, you can provide support. In fact, anybody that's built a second city so far, you'll notice that you can, like I am, let's see, I'm on Snislahoma right now. If I target Snizzissipi and I say send army, I can send my army to that city. That army will then be at that city, but it's still based from mine. It's actually taking one of my raid slots to send that the troops there. So basically, you end up with some cities being able to reinforce other cities. Now, there's still a little bit about, because I know there's 2 types of castled cities that you'll ultimately build. One type is defensive, and the other type is offensive, and I don't want to spend a ton of time getting into that right now, but Basically, this is going to be a lot a game about positioning, strategic positioning. Now you'll notice there's the shrine, and I'm actually clicking on this terrain right where my mouse is. It's not buildable terrain, nor is this mountain, nor are where dungeons are. So automatically there are dead spots around this terrain, and then there are terrain elements where we can click and build a city. These are the ones we're concerned with. What I'm putting out there as our opening strategy is that we focus all of our new cities to saturate these shrines. Now when I say saturate, I'm talking about claiming all land adjacent. So if I was to say we're saturated 1 deep, that means that there would be no slots to build on within 1 square. Saturated 2 deep would be occupying these spaces I'm clicking now, so that a new settler could not come in anywhere within 2 squares of the shrine. And then maybe 3 deep, we'd occupy these spaces. What we basically do is, this is before having castles, before even having armies, we are eliminating eligible settlement squares for other strong alliances to come to our continent and establish a foothold. In addition to direct 1, 2, 3, 4 deep saturation, we're also considering, I'm looking at landlocking the shrine. For example, if I was building my 15th or 16th city, tons of resources, and I'm looking at coming to this continent to build a city near this shrine, I have to settle near a waterway. The only way to get anywhere near this shrine is to have a selection site. So I can't settle directly to that location where I'm targeted now. I can only settle to these positions right next to the river. So in addition to a X deep saturation physically all the way surrounding the shrine, we may also look at building out how many squares we've landlocked the shrine. For example, if we had a city in each one of these squares, and every other river in this direction, nobody from another continent could even land their first city anywhere near our shrine. They'd have to land somewhere back over here and then almost leapfrog into a new position. So given that most of our threats, serious threats, will probably come intercontinental, we're probably looking at pushing to close down these waterways, because basically by occupying these squares, we're pushing out how close somebody can get to it on a single settlement. So anyway, that's I'll probably do some videos here and there just to kind of describe what I'm working on and the lines of thought. Like I said, I'm learning this as I'm going. I'm very new to the game, so I'm just kind of coming up with stuff as I figure different elements of the game out. I think as an alliance this young, we're certainly well ahead of the game in terms of thinking this far ahead, but I think that's going to benefit us a lot rather than starting to just throw cities around willy-nilly in virtually useless squares. The key to the game is going to be basically controlling the area surrounding shrines and the waterways in. So anyway, that's as our opening strategy, just so people know what to do and how to do it as we are building our 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th cities. Whether they end up being res cities, military support, military defense, or attack cities, castled or not castled, for now, our biggest goal or objective is to lock down those positions. An uncastled city in a position is a foothold. There's nothing anyone can do about it. And I'm running out of time on a 10-minute video here on this first one here, but I've got some ideas about what to do with these oddball non-threat 3 cities, as well as what to do about the strong ones. Most important though, if I was this guy Peregrines and I suddenly saw 5, 6, 7 cities of relatively high scored people, all of the same alliance, just suddenly start saturating this area over the next few days, he's going to know he's not going to win a war with us. He's not going to want to build on this city. He's going to either abandon it or at least take his focus off of it. So, and that's the psychology of what we're trying to communicate to potential threats is probably as important as anything right now. So that's it for now. See you guys in game.